Hello, hello, hello. A very warm welcome to all our friends, viewers, stakeholders, fans of Africa Rises Susan West. It is a beautiful Sunday. I missed you. Did you miss me? I missed you. It's been crazy. Life returning to normal here in London. It's been quite challenging trying to find that time to come here. But you know what? What we do here is so important that we must, we've been trying to find a rhythm to see how we can, um, continue what we've started here. And so I'm really happy to be back here today. If you haven't liked, followed, or subscribed to our channels, please do so. It's Africa Rice TV on Facebook, Africa Rice TV on YouTube, Africa_Rice.tv on Instagram. And guess what? If you really did share our broadcasts, subscribed, and this platform grew, we will probably not be affected by, you know, what's happening now, because now we have to do many other things to make sure that this platform stays afloat. And that's the reason why we're not coming on every week, but we will try as much as we can. Yes, so today it is our flash guest episode. I have decided to put out our numbers out there that anyone who is interested, because we're going to go to Nigeria, Ethiopia, Guinea, Ghana, anywhere else, with all the trending stories on the continent. So if you are interested on coming on live, all you need to do is message us on WhatsApp, flash guest, and we'll send you a link and we'll bring you on and you will air your opinion on whatever the issue or the topic. Or we want to hear your voices and get to know your views on the issues or the topics that we're discussing. Absolutely. Yes. So I'm going to start with a song because, because of copyright issues, we're really careful which songs we want to play, instead of dealing with getting our videos down because we're using someone else's song, we'll just try and do as much as possible. But we're going to open today's broadcast with in a little of a kind of a somber, you know, with a somber tone, because there is a gentleman called Dr. Obadiah Milafia. He's a Nigerian, a one-time deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. And he has been very outspoken about the ills and the challenges of the situation in the Nigerian society. And today the news came out that he died. And a lot of us, even though we were not sure what the cause of death is, we are really worried and concerned. Our prayers, our hearts, our prayers are with the family of Dr. Milafia. He will be greatly missed because we have very few people of his caliber that are willing to speak up um, in the situations around Africa, especially Nigeria. So when we do find these ones and we celebrate them and they leave us, we're not sure if it's of natural causes, but a lot of red flags going up everywhere, people talking in different corners, because he's been very, very critical of the present government of Nigeria, the Muhammadu Buhari's administration, and their handling of the security situation in Nigeria. Welcome, Hassan. Yes. So I'm just going to start by singing the song. It's a Yoruba song. I would have loved to play it, but they're going to bring down our video with copyright issues. So, Ojúmọ́ ti mọ́, ojúmọ́ ti mọ́ mi, nílé ni o, ojúmọ́ ti mọ́, oríire o. Ojúmọ́ ti mọ́, ojúmọ́ ti mọ́ mi, nílé ni o, ojúmọ́ ti mọ́, oríire o. Àdàbà, àdàbà, àdàbà tí ń fò lókè lókè, nílé ni o, Jumoti mo, oh, Rireo. We will miss Dr. May Lafia. May his soul rest in peace. And we do hope that the happenings and the trending stories of very prominent people that we want to have around living will not douse the flame in the fires in the hearts of people who want to keep the fight in the movement going in liberating Africa and her people. And so really quickly, we'll take a short video of Dr. May Lafia.
Thousands of people internally displaced. Children, women, elderly, killed, attacked, raped, villages burnt down. The carnage has never stopped. And this pattern is being repeated all over the middle belts of this country. So he has borne that pain personally. He has done all he can. The state and the governor have come under persecution, but we put our trust in God, knowing that God will vindicate our leader and will vindicate his people. So, the whole of the people of Benue are behind you. The whole of the middle belt is behind you.
Summarized the essence, the leadership.
Leadership is only when reforms are driven.
Right. Yes, so that was Dr. May Lafia in one of his public outings talking about the killings when he visited Benue State of Nigeria. For people who are joining who are not familiar with Nigeria, Benue State is in the middle belt of Nigeria, and the governor, the incumbent governor, have been very outspoken. He was part of the ruling party, the All Progressive Congress, the APC, and he defected to the PDP, the People's Democratic Party of Nigeria, because of the injustice, inequity that he found to be with the leadership of his of the APC, and the killings have not been, the atrocities carried out by the bandits and the terrorists, whatever name they might go by, have not dissipated. And this outing was one of May Lafia's outing to show solidarity and support for the governor of Benue State, Dr. Otom Emmanuel, who right now is the best, I call the best governor Nigeria has ever seen, because he has damned the consequences, the fear that many other governors and Nigerians alike have. He has stood up for his people. He's been vocal about what's going on, the oppression his people are suffering, the killings, and he doesn't care what happens to him. So may the soul of Dr. May Lafia find rest with his creator. And we're deeply saddened, like somebody said on Facebook. Why is it that the people we want to have around are the ones leaving, and the ones that should have gone are still here making a mess of the system and our lives in general? Nobody wishes death upon anyone, but we just want the good people who are trying to make a difference in our lives. We just wish they could be here to achieve what they've said, to succeed and see to the end the battle or the movement that they've started. Yes, so I have never met Dr. May Lafia, but I'm deeply saddened, when I got the message, I was so touched. And so, yes. And so let's move on to our numbers are on the screen. If you want to come on and share your thoughts with us, please do so by texting Flash Guest to our WhatsApp number on the screen, and come and tell us how you feel about anything that is going on around on the continent of Africa, good, bad. all of them. We want to hear your views. Right, so really quickly, we go to Guinea. The situation in Guinea was a bit confusing for some of us. Some people are not in agreement with the military coup to take out a democratically elected leader, or at least so we think, because on the continent of Africa, we're yet to see real democracy where the people's votes actually really count. And for some people, we're a little confused as to why the military takeover has some kind of support from the ordinary people around the continent. And one begins to think, even though it's a military coup, was it a good thing or a bad thing? And in my own thinking, when I began to look at all the commentaries, all the, the follow-up sanctions and talks about ECOWAS, placing sanctions and calling on the AU and the EU and every other organization to sanction Guinea, I began to think, was this man who was taken out, was he a good leader for Guinea? Was it a good thing he was removed or not? And for me, after I have begun to study the way things happen on the African continent politically, I began to pinch myself and think that when the ECOWAS or the AU begin to raise their voices against their own people really quickly and swiftly, then it raises light bulb, red flags, because when there are situations that you expect the ECOWAS or the African Union to raise their voices, when you see blatant injustices across the continent of Africa on the ordinary people of Africa, these people don't come to say anything, they don't do anything. And when things like this happen and they're swift, very quickly, to wanting to place sanctions on Guinea, then it makes you begin to think and wonder, because let me refresh our minds. It's almost a year ago that innocent young people were killed at the Lekki toll gate in Nigeria by the Nigerian army and the Nigerian police, in fact, the Nigerian government. And we expected that at some point the ECOWAS would have intervened to get justice for these young people, for Nigerians. It was blatantly clear what these issues were. It was on CNN. But the chairperson of the ECOWAS, the current president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, never even mentioned anything. No sanctions were placed on Nigeria. Nothing. There was no public condemnation on what the Muhammadu Buhari's administration is perceived to be doing. At least nothing was, said. So it made me begin to think and wonder if perhaps this man who was taken out in Guinea wasn't a good leader for the country. I'm not saying that military leadership is what we want, but it just makes us begin to think that there might be some kind of interest that doesn't represent us as Africans or represent the Guineans. It doesn't represent the interests of these people, and that is the reason why suddenly all these voices are mounting pressure on the military leadership of Guinea, because usually they will never say anything if it doesn't favor some powerful power outside the continent of Africa. So if that man, the Conde guy, has the support of the West, for me, I'm beginning to think that he is probably not what Guinea needs at this time, because Africa needs to come of age, and we need leaders who have our own people at heart. And so, yes, if you do have your own thoughts that is different from my suspicion, please call, not call, text us on our number to WhatsApp and tell us why you think that my thoughts are not right or differs from yours? I'd like to know. Yes, and so back to Nigeria again. There has been, for some people, it doesn't come as a surprise, but for others, it does come as a surprise. There is Chief Femi Fani-Kayode, the former aviation minister of Nigeria, who has been very vocal in the recent, in recent times about the Muhammadu Buhari's administration. And when somebody speaks so publicly and makes statements and swears never to be part of something because it is bedeviled, it is evil, it is corrupt, and this person sings the name of God and Jesus, and you would never expect that such a person in such a short space of time will publicly again sing the opposite tune. So before I carry on with Fani Kayode's story, let's play a video of one of his, utterances, I would call it.
I was in APC for 9 months. What I saw. Anyway,
memorable name.
Oh my God. What I saw, man.
Memorable name.
And because I was fighting Jonathan, because Jonathan was giving too much to the Northerners, and he was very unfair to the Yorubas, and you know the story. And I told them, I said, look, so when I went to APC, Buhari now, I met Buhari through El Rufai. We interacted 3-4 times. We'll go and meet him. He had a house somewhere else, not here. He lives just around the corner from here now. But he had a house elsewhere. We went there. So, but as time went by, he now started sending for me. So I went there with Nasser. Then one day, they called and said he wanted to see me. So I said, okay, I'll go. I met him at the transfer. And I got there. He said we should go inside the bedroom. So he sat in the bedroom talking. He started talking. He said, he wants to, I know his aspiration, but he has a challenge with trusting people in view of what has happened to him in the past. But that he just wants me to know that he will want me to work closely with him. If he manages to win the nomination for his party, and that, he likes me, I'm courageous. The Obasanjo said a lot to him about me, that once I'm on board, I will fight all the way, and he loves that. Anyway, to cut a long story short, let me tell you why I'm telling you this story. We started talking about the history and about the Igbos. You know what this man said to me? He said, they killed our leaders in the middle of the night, and we can never forget it. That it's a cultural problem. You can't trust them. When he was talking about trust, that's where it came up. I said, sir, they killed not just northern leaders. They killed leaders from every zone. Southwest, where I come from, yes. The Niger,
Right. I don't want to take too much of that video. I just wanted you to hear, especially for the people who are watching who are not Nigerians. This is a man who received Nnamdi Kanu to his home. This is a man who publicly made these statements about the current president of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari. This is a man who, after all this, you begin to wonder what changed about Muhammadu Buhari? What changed about this present administration in Nigeria? Why did Femi Fani-Kayode, Chief Femi Fani-Kayode, make a 360-degree turnaround to join this government he's called evil, dark, all sorts of negative terms he's used to describe this government? Why did Femi Fani-Kayode decide to go back to the APC? More like, why did Femi Fani-Kayode go back to eat his vomit? And just before I carry on, Don Picasso says, the rascality of African, let me put this on screen. He says, the rascality of African politicians deserves military intervention to discipline the polity across Africa, not just Guinea. Of course, that's making reference to what's going on in Guinea right now. I will not differ. I will not want to not think a little. I don't want to even think different from what you have just said, because we have tried, but we do know that we have tested, especially in Nigeria, military rule, and it's tricky. That's all I'm going to say. But of course, that's a very, very important point you have made, Don Picasso. Welcome, Rahina Bello. Yes, so when a man like Chief Femi Fani-Kayode, I've had him on this program, I interviewed him. He's one who is so quick to call on Jesus and God and comes across as a very righteous man, or trying to be righteous. And you begin to wonder the integrity, the lack of integrity that we have in the elites, African elites, especially this one is unprecedented. What's going on with Femi Fani-Kayode is an unprecedented situation. I have never seen nor heard about anyone like Chief Femi Fani-Kayode who can publicly say something totally different in the morning and go back. Nothing has changed in Nigeria. In fact, things have gotten worse. Nothing has changed. Why did Chief Femi Fani-Kayode decide to go back to the APC? Why is he now beginning to talk a little differently? In fact, he's just warming up. He hasn't really started lambasting the PDP and all the other people that are not in the APC. But even his godfather, who brought him into the polity of Nigeria and gave him the relevance that we now know of him today as Chief Femi Fani-Kayode. We're not talking about the antecedents or the history of his family, his father. We're talking about him as a political, at least we could describe him as a political heavyweight before now, not anymore. Even Obasanjo has come out to say something not so complimentary, you know, or complimenting. Said that he says that with Fani-Kayode, all you need to do is who gives him the food. And is this the kind of leaders or leadership that we have? And let me come to now talking about the most painful aspect of all this is that we have men of God who have prophesied or prophelied to this man that he will be the president of Nigeria. I literally watched the video that I'm unfortunately haven't queued to play here, where they're prophelying to Femi Fani-Kayode that he is going to be a president in Nigeria. And I have seen clergymen put their hands over Femi Fani-Kayode and praying and blessing him. And it just reminds me of what they did to President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, how he went from church to church, how they prayed, put their hands on his head and prayed for him while backstabbing him at the same time after collecting whatever big, large offerings he must have given. So the pain that we have as Africans is the fact that we have chosen Geraldine Cook, welcome. Blessings to you too, sister. The pain that we suffer as Africans is the fact that we do not have leaders. And when we do find a few leaders that have integrity and are willing to stick their necks out there for us, something happens, like what happened to Milafia today. The crop of Milafia are the sort of people that we need taking over the leadership affairs of Nigeria, but such people will never be given an opportunity because the powers that be are dark and powerful. But the people are the ones that allow for these people to be these powerful, because we lay in the dark and fight ourselves for the most irrelevant things, like fighting on behalf of God, fighting for our gods, fighting for our pastors and churches, fighting for our denominations, and giving false prophecies. You know, when a lot of people are suffering from mental disorder on the continent of Africa and we don't realize it, especially in Nigeria, where I'm from. a lot of our leaders are mental cases. Because when you listen to someone like Fani Kayode talk the way he talks and turn 360 degrees and still publicly shamelessly comes, he doesn't even have an iota of shame to say, let me lay low for a while. He comes out openly and he comes to talk trash about the same man he called darkness, devil. The man hasn't changed. He's the same Buhari. Nigeria is in a worse situation than when Fani Kayode started making all these rants in public spaces. Obiman says, I have to pay closer attention to Kayode's tweets on Twitter. I follow him, but usually mentally shut off at the Nigerian's mind. Too helplessly religious, he says. Greetings to you, to Obiman. I don't know what else to say. When I say something, they come into my inbox and they attack me because they say, you're a Christian, how can you talk like this? Yes, I am a Christian, but I'm not a foolish Christian. Can you not see the difference? The difference is that this is not about religion. I am not trying to encourage anybody to belong to a particular religion or move away from a particular religion. It is the damage some of the religiosity and the religious preachings and teachings have done to our minds that has made it difficult for us to be able to be analytical. And the moment any of us wake up and try to analyze away from the religious backings, then you suddenly are termed to be, something else. I cannot understand how Femi Fani, I am personally offended and angry at Chief Femi Fani Kayode because I've had him on this program, and in the beginning, I was never a fan of his, but I started beginning to, have a lot of respect for him because I saw the way he was vocal about what was going on in the society in Nigeria. And I thought, oh, okay. And I really did give him a chance in my mind. And then this. And I can imagine how many Nigerians are as disappointed. Some people are not because they know him better than we do. I do hope that I'll have a chance for him to come here, if he will accept my invitation, to come and tell us why he decided to join the APC. That would be an interesting one. I'd like to know. But no one is going to be falling for anybody calling God and Jesus and doing evil and without integrity, no honesty, Bele Kingdom first. We're sick and tired of it. I think at this point, most Nigerians are wiser. They might not have the courage or the guts to come out and speak publicly about the way they think, but we know that they are wiser for it, And all those men of God laying hands on Femi Fani Kayode and preaching to him and telling him that he will be president. I will not say anything negative, but may all the wishes that you wish for Nigeria have come, and may it be your portion in your private and personal life. Because I cannot understand how people carry big Bibles and wear big robes and carry all those things on their head, looking like the Pope, and come out with such lies. And Don Picasso says, politicians repair their fences by hedging. Why are we surprised when politicians play politics? It's not like they are supposed to be real adults. They are, after all, politicians and don't have real jobs and aren't playing around with their money. They play around with other people's money and welfare. Well, we know that politicians, yes, they can dilly-dal, they can say something a little different and then turn around. But in this particular situation, in Nigeria especially, it is a lack of integrity, a lack of ideology, a lack of value system. At least when you go to the West, you find people who belong to a particular party, and they are there for the ideologies of the party. the values, the political, inclination. And whatever happens, they speak and they speak and they fight and they repair whatever it is that is wrong with their party or the platform that they stand with, until it gets to the point like what happened not so long ago, where Donald Trump surprised every one of them, and some of them just literally just came out and said, I have been a Republican all my life, now I go to Democratic Party and vis-a-vis, or they went to the not so popular parties. In Nigeria, it is not the same. But I tell you that Femi Fani-Kayode's actions and words are unprecedented, never heard, never seen, ever, anywhere. And it shows a lack of character, lack of value, lack of integrity. He is not an honest man. And how else can he ever come back to repair the image that we already have of him, regardless? And so we're not going to stay too long on this one. Let's quickly go to what's going on in Ethiopia. Ethiopia, like a joke, has been fighting a war for 10 months, counting. And one begins to wonder, the current leader of Ethiopia, Synovia Ridley, welcome. Greetings to you too, sis. Yes. One will begin to wonder, someone who was given a Nobel Peace Prize is now the president of Ethiopia or prime minister, and Ethiopia is literally going into full-blown war by itself, in itself. Just a couple of days ago, dead bodies washing off the coasts or the rivers from Ethiopia to Sudan. And I started thinking, how will Africa ever be free of this rubbish, this inhumane thing we do to ourselves? When was the last time you heard of any European countries fighting amongst themselves, killing themselves, Western European countries at least? When was the last time you heard of America, other than crazy individuals coming up and shooting people? How do we wake up and not understand that we are the ones damaging ourselves? We know there are manipulations from outward. Why do we allow for these manipulations to take hold? How can we have Ethiopians, basically, regardless whether you call them Tigrayans? As far as I'm concerned, Ethiopia, Tigray, Eritrea, all those people are the same people. It's one and the same as far as I'm concerned. They look the same, they sound the same. So what is it that is so bad? But I'll quickly play a video from a channel that I found on YouTube as well. And they've done a fantastic job of a documentary on, the troubles of Ethiopia, and a little bit of a background to the history of the troubles of Ethiopia. I'm just quickly going to play that video. We'll take as much as we can, and then we will give our thoughts.
The country situated in the Horn of Africa, and it's been in the news in the last few years because its president Abiy Ahmed actually won the Nobel Peace Prize for bringing to an end the 2 decades-long conflict that it fought with its neighbor Eritrea. However, he has also come under increased scrutiny after there were several mass protests, mass incarcerations of political opponents of his, and censorship of the internet and journalists, as well as a resurgence of the ethnic and tribal divisions between those in Ethiopia itself. Furthermore, this has led to open conflict, especially in the northern region of Tigray, a region which throughout Ethiopia's history has had a disproportionately large amount of power for the surface area that it contains. However, this new president Abiy Ahmed has gone to war with this region in the very north of the country in an attempt to counter this, even employing the old enemy of Eritrea, which sits directly to the north of Tigray, to invade from the north. This conflict has been going on for a while and has claimed many lives, and so in this video I want to ask, why is Ethiopia at war with its northern province? Let's take a first look at the history of Ethiopia as a country and then dive into why this conflict has erupted. Now, Ethiopia's history is incredibly old, and actually some of the oldest human remains ever found have been found there, some of different hominids going back to before 4 million years ago. Several kingdoms rose and fell in the ancient period, although the most powerful would become the kingdom of Aksum. And actually Mani, who was a 3rd century AD scholar from Babylonia, listed it as one of the 4 most powerful nations on earth at the time, including China, Rome, and Persia. This would develop into the Middle Ages into lots of small independent groups in different parts of what today is Ethiopia. The fact that Ethiopia was a Christian kingdom in Africa intrigued many Europeans who had heard stories about it, and so myths and legends of a kingdom of Prester John, a man in Africa who was of Christian European descent, spread to Europe, and many attempts were made by those in Europe in the Middle Ages to find this mythical kingdom. Now, while that wasn't quite the right story, what's interesting is that actually many Ethiopians also visited Europe during the Middle Ages. And if you want to find out more about this interesting history, my good friend and history channel Jabzy has a video on this very subject, which I will be linking in the description below, as well as in a card in the top right hand side of this video. The relatively centralized kingdom of Ethiopia that was united during the Middle Ages and inspired such stories in Europe was broken during a period called the Zemene Mesafint, which is the Age of Princes, in which there were lots of small regional powers based on the Solomonic dynasty, or who claimed to be from this dynasty, fighting against one another, a little bit like the Sengoku Jidai in Japan in an earlier period. This is generally agreed to have come to an end in around 1855, when one of these small princedoms from Quarta became the major power and defeated the others. This led to the British sending envoys to the victor and attempted to seal an alliance between the British and the Ethiopians as the scramble for Africa was about to commence. The man who had won power for himself in Ethiopia was crowned as Tewodros II, or Theodore II, to give the English version of the Ethiopian name. He was a very eccentric ruler and had united many of the disparate kingdoms into one, although he faced rebellions almost straight away when he became the ruler, both from those within his new kingdom as well as being attacked from forces outside, like the armies of the Egyptians and the Ottoman Turks, who often sided with some of the Muslim factions within Ethiopia at the time, such as the Oromo from the Oroma region. However, his eccentricity and feeling of empowerment would be the end of him, as after he had written a letter to the sovereign of Great Britain at the time, Empress Victoria, and she didn't reply, he decided to seize the British consul in the Abyssinian capital at the time, and so the British embarked on what became known as the Magdala expedition to free them. There was a battle between their forces, and after Tewodros heard that his forces had been soundly defeated by the British, he committed suicide. The next significant emperor of Ethiopia wouldn't come from the Amara region. That was the home of Tewodros, and in fact he came from the Tigray region, which will be featured later in this video, and he pursued friendlier relations with the British and used that to get arms and ammunition of the most modern kind. And with this, he was able to, despite having a much smaller force, defeat Tewodros' heir and become the emperor of Ethiopia from his power base in Tigray. His reign wouldn't be a straightforward one, however.
Right. You know, this is a long documentary, but I just wanted to play that because what we lack on the African continent or as Africans is history. And when some people have put in a lot of work to put things together for us, we should try as much as possible to take advantage of it, to get to know, a little bit of our history. When you look at these things and you wonder that Ethiopia, the whole of Africa used to be referred to as Ethiopia anyway, before Africanos, before it was named after Africanos. So one will wonder why up until now, Africans cannot understand that we cannot win. We can never win if we continue to allow external influence to make us hate and fight ourselves. Look at the saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Now it's no longer a fight between Eritrea and Ethiopia. I mean, literally, the president of Ethiopia is now siding with Eritrea in order to defeat Tigray. And it's crazy going down the history of that country, and you begin to see how, in the name of God, will Africa ever be liberated if we always seek the support of Western powers to be able to undo and outdo our brothers, ourselves. You know, I'll quickly take some reads here. As Sinovia Ridley says, my fiance is Ghanaian, and he said, we are our worst enemies. Absolutely, we are our worst enemies. Absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to digress. I'm just going to face this, and then I have something to say about Ghana. And Don Picasso says, a man's words who can't obviously maintain and keep his family intact can't be trusted. Such a man flows with directions of the wind, with directions of the wind. And in Nigeria politics, money bags. I agree with you. Others are hating Africans because Africans don't love themselves, says Free for Christ Mwanta. And Obi-Man says, Western awards and prizes are poisonous. They use them as bridles to direct where you should go or what you should say. These prizes does not allow you to say your mind without limitations. And that's the reason why I questioned why the ECOWAS was so swift in trying to place sanctions, or already placing sanctions on Guinea, why they're so swift to make the African Union that is docile to be involved in Guinea, you know, getting the EU involved in sanctioning Guinea. These are the telltale signs, you know. Before now, when we were ignorant, once we see these sort of things, oh, we're happy. Oh, yeah, thank goodness, help us come. Oh, democracy, the people who already understand democracy, they've come to interfere, to help, to salvage situations. Little did we know that with the help of the enemy within, we will never find liberty with all this, you know, help, so-called help that we seem to be getting. That is, after all, not help, but further shackles in digging us into holes that we will take a lifetime, you know, eternity more like. And so you can see, isn't it sad that somebody wins a prize, a Nobel Peace Prize, becomes the president of a country, and now there is a war. And we begin to wonder, again, just like Guinea, who is on the side of the African people? In this case, is it the president of Ethiopia, or are the Tigrayans in the right? Do they have a good reason to want to fight a cause? Or are they the ones that are being cheated? Or are they being used by external powers and forces to disrupt the governance of Ethiopia under this current president? It is like the more you look, the less you see with every African country and the politics and the polity. You know, the more you look, the less you see. Sometimes you're out there supporting the one bearing the cross that will nail us as a people, but we don't see it. So this is the reason why we must, as Africans, diaspora or continental, you know, we must, as Africans, begin to look at everything in detail, read the history, look at the troubles, and begin to read between the lines those things that are not so obvious. Because that is the only way we can begin to salvage this mess. If we take everything at face value, we end up always giving support to the person who has come to suppress, subdue, oppress us, just like what happened in Nigeria. There we were carrying a placard, shouting, bring back our girls. Now, we all went social media because we saw President Barack Obama and his wife carrying placards, bring back Chibok girls. Little did we know it was a setup, cooked and served from the pit of hell, that Nigeria was going to go down this path of destruction. So now we know better. We will never take things at face value anymore. Anywhere you see trouble, anywhere you see the polity in Africa or the politics, whatever that is going on, and it's speaking, don't take it at face value. Dig deep, and there you'll find who the real enemy is. Look at Ghana. We're here celebrating Ghana. That's Nana Akufo-Addo is doing so well. Just the other day, a few days ago, as I round up, I saw a video. Ghana, what's the population of Ghana? Really quickly, help me look that up. What's the population of Ghana? I was so disappointed to find out. I wish I can find that video. I'm not making it up. The villagers were filming a convoy that went with Nana Akufo-Addo. 30.4 million. The entire Ghana is 30.4 million, right? In that small space. Then you have Nigeria, you know, let's just take it for what they say it is, because we haven't had census in that country for God knows how long. The last one, they counted goats and chickens as well in certain parts of Nigeria. Let's say, for argument's sake, we're 200 million people in Nigeria. Ghana's president, an educated man like that, you would think would do better. I counted a convoy of Toyota Jeeps or SUVs following one president to an occasion or an event or wherever they were going. Before I stopped counting, there were 50 of those vehicles I counted. I lost count. 50 cars. And even the villagers understood how wrong that was, how much it would take to put fuel in those cars, how much it would take to run that convoy just to escort one tiny small man whose office makes him look like a god. This is the mentality we have to fight on the African continent. This is not right. They hardly pay the salaries of civil servants very well because they don't have money. There are heavy borrowings everywhere. And look at what they do with the monies that they borrow. Sad indeed. But we must not keep quiet. We will not stop talking. This is the only way we will open our minds. When you did leave here today, go and do your research on any warring countries on the African continent. If you love Africa, if you're interested in Africa, if you're looking for a way to help to disabuse the minds of the ignorant, you must do your research, especially if you're blessed to be an educated person. Read the history of that country. Begin to look in between the lines. And one of the telltale signs that we have now come to see is when the powers from outward begin to praise sing you, there is a reason for us to be jittery about such a person or such administration. Yes, and so as we come to the concluding part of today's broadcast, food for thoughts. We should not allow religion to blind us to the point where we go to our graves. And even in the afterlife, I bet you will not be forgiven that you had a chance to do something to better the lives of your people, but you allowed religion to block your eyes. You fight your brother, your sister, your friends, because you believe a little differently. It is time to begin to help remove the scale from the eyes of our brothers and sisters. Nobody is saying you shouldn't believe in what you want to believe in, but never allow the manipulations of these evil people using religion, using their public offices, using whatever positions they find themselves to block you from seeing the light and the truth. And in this case, Obi-Man says, I never really look up to Nana Akufo-Addo. I really see him as a petted pet for the West. You know, for us who are not Ghanaians, we're only getting to see that all that glitter is not gold even in Ghana. And Don Picasso says, painful as it may be, FFK party switch, a significant event can be the catalyst for choosing a direction that serves us and those around us more effectively. What we should do, what we should all do, is to look for the lessons within this event and learn from it. Nigeria colonized by Britain, but practices USA democracy and governance system, which is a presidential system. Everything is absolutely wrong with Nigeria's democracy system. I do agree with you, you know, and moving forward, for those people who think that I hear people talking about the Igbo president from the Middle Belt, president. The truth of the matter is we have now come to know that until something is done about the constitution as it stands in Nigeria, nothing will change. Even if you brought the holiest man, this a saint, to become the president of Nigeria, nothing would change. The 1999 constitution, according to what we now know, was just something that was copied and pasted from you know, the military government of Abdusalami Abubakar, just copied and pasted and never asked for the input of Nigerians as you know it should have been. And so until there is some kind of constitutional amendment, referendum, or whatever restructuring takes place, nobody can come and salvage the mess Nigeria finds herself in. And with Ethiopia, we do hope that the rest of Africa begins to understand, go back, search our history, know the dynamics of what is going on and happening to us, and never take anything and everything at face value when it concerns us as Africans. And in Guinea, leave your thoughts even after this broadcast is over. Let's know, was it a good thing? Some people have made their opinion known here, saying that the entire of Africa need military intervention. Is that what you think that Africa needs at the moment? Is it a good thing that Condé was removed? Who was he? Was he a puppet or a good president who was overthrown by some power drunk people in the army, in the military? So drop your thoughts and let's continue this conversation another time. If you haven't liked, followed, or subscribe to our channels, please do so. Do so, because that's the only way we'll be coming here more and more often. We cannot overemphasize how important it is that we get the followership and the subscriptions and the viewership that we need. And so I just want to say a very big thank you for everyone who joined us on today's broadcast. Share, share, share. Invite your friends. And we will try as much as possible to bring in interesting guests our next episode. Do have a good evening. Take care now. Bye-bye.